All right, when I say end of the world, what pops into your head? Probably fire, right? Chaos, fear. But today, we're going to look at a fascinating text from way back in the 17th century that paints a completely different picture, one that's actually, well, hopeful.
I mean, that's a wild question, right? A wedding day? But that's the core idea from a writer named Isaac Ambrose. He basically takes all that fire and brimstone stuff we see in movies and says, hold on a second, what if the second coming isn't a terrifying end, but the ultimate, most joyful beginning imaginable? So you gotta ask, how does he pull this off? How do you take the Last Judgment and turn it into something joyful? Well, Ambrose argues that for believers, this day isn't something to be afraid of at all. In fact, it's something you should be looking forward to, maybe even getting a little impatient about. Okay, first up, this idea of glorious anticipation. We're going to dig in to why Ambrose thought believers should be longing for this day, not dreading it. And honestly, it all boils down to your point of view. And this quote right here, it just nails the feeling he's talking about. This isn't someone praying, oh no, please don't come yet. It's an impatient cry like, where are you? The whole vibe is that you're desperately waiting for someone you love to arrive. You're basically tapping your foot, asking, what's the holdup?
And this slide really lays out the two different ways of thinking. On one side, you've got what Ambrose calls a spirit of bondage, where you only see Christ as this stern, offended judge. But on the other side, a spirit of joy. That's where you see the exact same event as a glorious reunion, the moment everything is finally made right.
All right, so let's get into the main event, the Day of Judgment itself. Ambrose doesn't just give you a theory. He paints this incredibly vivid, almost cinematic picture of how it all goes down. It's like he's storyboarding a blockbuster movie.
He breaks it down into 4 dramatic acts. It all kicks off with a command from Christ in heaven. And the second that happens, the souls of the saints just erupt in celebration. They're rejoicing because, as the text says, their long-looked-for day is come. This is the moment they get their bodies back and become whole again.
And you can just feel the power of this scene. As Christ and this massive company of angels and souls descend, it's described as a flood of fire. I mean, this isn't some quiet affair. It's a universe-shaking spectacle of divine glory. And get this, the throne isn't even on earth. It's set up right there in the clouds.
Okay, now we get to the real climax of this whole judgment scene. And honestly, this is where there's a huge twist, a real game changer. It's all about the role the saints, the believers, actually play in all of this.
So here it is, the big reveal. It's a complete role reversal. You'd think everyone just lines up to be judged, right? But Ambrose says no, that's not how it works for the saints. They're summoned not only to be judged, but to judge. They're not on trial, they're on the bench.
Just think about that for a second. This idea completely flips the script on their position. It's this incredible moment of empowerment and vindication. The faithful aren't just saved, they're actually brought up to sit with Christ and take part in the final judgment of the world and even of fallen angels.
So, once all the judging is done, the whole mood shifts. It's like the story goes from this intense cosmic courtroom drama to, well, to the biggest, most incredible party you can possibly imagine. And to really hammer this home, the text gives this day 5 different names, and every single one is positive and joyful. Each name highlights a different part of the experience, you know? From being officially adopted into God's family to, of course, the big one, the marriage day of the Lamb. And that's really the heart of this whole vision. The grand finale isn't a verdict being read, it's a wedding reception. It's this beautiful metaphor for the moment the bride, that's the church, is finally, completely, and forever united with the groom, with Christ. And we're not talking about a party that ends at midnight. No way. This is the kickoff for an eternal state of joy. The song of praise they start singing at this wedding supper, yeah, that song never, ever ends. Okay, so that's a pretty epic cosmic vision, right? But the big question is, so what? How does that affect how a believer is supposed to live their life right now? And the text is super clear about this. This future hope is meant to change everything about your present. Ambrose uses this great Greek word for the kind of hope he's talking about, pleraphory. And this isn't just, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's a deep, settled confidence, a full assurance. It's supposed to be like an anchor for your soul when life gets stormy. So, first things first, the text calls for that solid, unshakable hope, an anchor that keeps you steady now, but also one that makes you look forward to the future, even to things like death and judgment,
with sweetness instead of fear. And that kind of hope leads to a specific kind of belief. It's about really, truly trusting that the person coming to judge the world is the exact same person who already died for you. The text puts it so well, if your judge is your best friend, what is there to be afraid of?
When you trust like that, the natural response is love. It's a reflection of the crazy love Christ shows by coming himself to get his people. Think about it. He doesn't just send an angel or a messenger. He comes in person.
And all of this, the hope, the belief, the love, it all leads to joy. It has to, because if this day is the ultimate rescue mission, the moment every single promise comes true, what other response could there possibly be than just pure, deep, unshakable joy? So, how do you actually get ready for a day like this? Well, the text suggests doing a kind of prejudgment on yourself. It gives you a 4-step plan, basically. First, search yourself and be honest about your faults. Second, confess everything. Pour out thine heart, as it says. Third, condemn yourself, meaning acknowledge you don't deserve this on your own. And finally, plead for pardon, based only on mercy and grace.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, it becomes crystal clear. This entire system, this whole way of looking at salvation in the end times, it all revolves around one person. It's like he's the golden hinge that everything swings on. From start to finish, it's all about Jesus.
And so, this old-school perspective from the 1600s, this idea of turning doomsday into a wedding day, it leaves us with a really powerful question to chew on, doesn't it? It makes you wonder, how does focusing on a joyful ultimate end change how we actually live our lives, right here, right now?